Hey, what's up, everybody? It's going to be a light-hearted stream today, okay? No simul to stress the international master out. Alright? Okay. So, just 5 plus 3 through 7 plus 3. Casual blitz. Just fun. No trolling. Nobody's gonna be bad. And we're just gonna have fun, okay? Welcome, everybody. We're going to be playing 5 plus 3 through 7 plus 3. You can challenge me to any of the time controls in between. Rapid or blitz, guys. So let's get it underway. I have to say that I enjoy the blitz casual streams the most. I like the tournament streams. The simul streams are very competitive for me, but it can be really, really stressful. So I have to say, and I like the analysis streams on Thursdays. Probably my favorite stream is this, when we're just playing blitz and rapid chess and just hanging out. All right, let's get started. I've got a challenge from Morwa. We're welcoming all the challenges from subscribers first. Tournament streams, I struggle to get questions answered. That's true. That's really not what. Yeah, that's really not what we're there for. During the tournament streams, everybody's just playing, so nobody's like really paying as much attention to the chat. All right. Morwa's up first. He's shown, I think, pretty good improvement over the last few months since he's been a pretty regular on stream here. What's up, guys? I don't know why I'm going to play knight f3. A lot of other streamers do, they just stream them playing a tournament or whatever. I might do that, but, I think it's more fun when it's our own arena, right? Okay, the other when you're just streaming your tournament. I mean, just you playing tournaments. It seems like it's all about you. Okay, the Rogozin variation. Yeah, I've been playing this Queen A4 check. I feel like I'm kind of addicted to it. Tibor Karoy, he was originally the one who got me hooked on playing Queen A4. It's actually not such a great variation, probably. There is even this move. I think there might even be the move Bishop F4 here. I don't like tournaments as much. The Rogozin is something that became trendy in the last couple of years. I would say since maybe, I shouldn't say couple. I mean, I can remember back, I guess, in the mid 2000s. Does it make sense to say mid 2000s? The mid 2000s when I started noticing it. Really, I never really noticed it much pre 2000, but there's also the Rogozin with d4, d5, c4, e6. Let's say knight c3, bishop b4 right away. When I first learned chess, I guess, I assumed that was the Rogozin. It's one thing if white's playing knight f3 and knight c3. Now this is a very odd move from Morwak here. He's absolutely doing nothing instructive with the move knight to d5. I mean, this move purely loses a tempo to try to trade pieces, perhaps. And he's also given up his center. He's given up his strong point on d5 and then wasted a move on knight to d5, which doesn't really have a point other than possibly trading pieces. Possibly trading pieces. I sound like the guy from Ancient Aliens. What is his name? Not the main guy. One of the other analysts from Ancient Aliens. Bishop f4 is logical outside the punching. Yeah, I've never actually worked on that, but I have seen some other people try to play it. It always seemed like white was asking too much. Playing queen a4 and then bishop f4 on top of it seems kind of luxurious. We had time to just make every sort of... You choose to believe Morwa has a plan here? I don't choose to believe that. I think he's not very strong in openings. He's good. He's pretty good in middle game. He's decent in the end game, but his openings still need a lot of work. He doesn't know a lot of theory, which is okay. But I think he's just making it up as he goes along, to be perfectly honest. It's kind of like the Trump administration. All right, I'll try not to be political, but I couldn't resist making this joke about our government not having a plan. All right, bishop d3. Morwa is he's just going with the flow, basically. Whatever, pops up that day, we'll handle it. What do you think of Sveshnikov? How booked up are you in that opening? I'm not, because I don't play e4 that often. My knowledge of all, classical, I shouldn't say classical, but all mainline Sicilians is pretty thin. Nowhere near what I would need to be if I was like a full-time E4 player. Morwaz planning in this opening is more or less like the current U.S. White House. Gambits and sacrifices. Much sharper than Morwaz's style here. Morwaz all over the map with like E takes, or rather D takes C, giving up the center, then the knight journey from D5 to B6. I think he's not playing the time control really correctly. I mean, this is a pretty long time control, 7+3. Little pause there while I try to think of another joke. Actually, bishop D2. I'm just gonna play A3. He's pretty confined here. Castle kingside into H7 heaven. No. Are you planning on castling queenside? Senor Morwaz. Now it almost looks like he's threatening E5. If you could classify that as a threat. Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? I go B4. Can't resist. What was that? Are you threatening me? That's like Beavis and Butthead? Or I think so. I'm really dating myself here. First I thought like Arsenal was talking about Sveshnikov himself. The amazing book by Catronius on Sveshnikov. Catronius is a very theoretical guy. I mean, he's getting lower rated because he's getting older, but he's really well booked up. You've got like a theoretician following a theoretician. You've got like Catronius on Sveshnikov. Vasilios plays like really sharp openings, like the King's Indian. What am I thinking? What else does he play? I guess, yeah, obviously Sicilian. So, you know, the sharpest openings. He comes from the generation that probably like was influenced by Kasparov. I mean, okay, bishop takes C5 here. Do I take with the B pawn? The D pawn. It's actually tempting to take with the D pawn and try to open up the B2 diagonal. Counterintuitive to take away from the center. The great Cornholio. Generations, Mr. Coffee. The Sveshnikov is good, and I have gone on record as saying several times that basically I think that the Sveshnikov and the Najdorf are probably Black's two best variations of the Sicilian, the most reliable and really like usable. Can we pop his little bubble here? I'd really love to play E4. The knight on D5 is irritating. But you know how it is. Let's bring another piece to the party. Okay, I mean, personally, Arsenal fan and group, I thought about playing this Sveshnikov early on, but as I said many times on my stream, there was this book by Andrei Shadoryan that was really undigestible when I was a beginner that I got, so it kind of turned me off. It was just like, it was too hard to learn the lines. There were too many lines. It was Dewey Decimal System. It was like impossible and overwhelming. So if you get like a digestible book on the Sveshnikov for a beginner, it's a good place to start. I imagine Catronius is trying to sell the book to a wide audience, even though most of what he did I would think would be pretty advanced. He may market it in a way that it's not overwhelmingly like advanced. Okay, knight d4. This is a weird move I just played. Maybe good, maybe bad. Kind of a weird move. You can feel free to link the book here if you want to. Serious, if you're a 1e4 player, Katrina comes up with great opening ideas. Yeah, I mean, the guy is all about theory. You know, he's done King's Indian books. If Magnus Carlsen plays something, he's like out there playing in a tournament like the next day. He's a follower. Kind of a follower of fashion, but like good fashion, you know what I mean? He's a follower of fashion with really good taste. That's how I would kind of qualify Vasilios Katronius. Future chess GM. Long time no see. Alright, so Marois is sort of hanging on in this somewhat ugly opening. How long can he tolerate these like diagonals from hell? I mean, this is double trouble, right? On both diagonals. How long can you stand the pressure where something happens? Alright, nice relaxing stream today. JCS, I didn't even see. You donated 100 bits. Excuse me for not noticing. I'm good, man. I saw your rating is up there. So, I know you've like been on the stream a few times here and there. Good, I'm okay. I'm good. Good to see you. So, King G7. So, it's like either diagonal, you're like asking for trouble, right? This is the... I was thinking about 95 for a while there, that he might have that. Exchange sacrifice anyone with E4? Well, at least he can't play E5. I mean, it's got to be out of the question. He's getting desperate now. Full-on desperate. I have a lot of candidate moves, and I'm kind of choosing one at random. Marois is fast, but this position looks so bad for black with those long diagonals of death. Death and doom. I was talking about E4, right? And I really have that now. This just feels right. Everything is pointing at you. Almost feels like a Sicilian. Speaking of the Sveshnikov. I love the queen, the lateral river guarding element of the queen on B3. He's just like, oh, I don't care. I'll just take on B4. Well, yeah, I mean, actually there's no knockout blow. True that, right? Very well. Can I pin him any further? I would give Marois credit for being like calm in the face of death in this position. But still, it's funny, like, Bob, as beautiful as my position looks, there doesn't seem to be any kind of knockout blow, you know? Like, if I play E5, that's bad. If I take, he takes back with a G-pawn, and it's still kind of hard to open up the game. I mean, maybe that would work. Like, I take there, check on G3. Now, this is even a troublesome move. Or not. No, I think he's finally just collapsed. He had an idea, but no, actually this is troublesome for him. Double trouble. He's gonna have to sack his queen here, but I mean, there can't be enough. I guess he doesn't have to sack his queen. Oddly enough. How long can this business last? There's a check. I can kill myself with the dropping D4 with check. Alright, let's keep him busy somehow. Again, rook takes E8. Oh no! Just kidding. It was a trick. I hung D4 with check. Just trying to trick him. Does rook takes F6 work? Feels like I should have like a mate or something, but I can't do anything. No, you don't have that. It was all a trick. Cheap trick. Will Skinner is a sub. All you guys are. So, Future Chess GM says, what? I'm going to play OTB when I go to university. Yeah, he's a strong player. I think Future Chess GM is one of the, more devoted players you'll see with a solid understanding of the game. That actually does have very little tournament experience. But really strong. He's been playing like as much as you can play, like without actually going to tournaments. He's legit though. Now what do I do? More wah. The open file, the opening of the file. He's got rook g8. That's really brutal here. He'll probably go rook a8. I don't know why I just didn't play b5, but this is even more cruel. So I sort of used reverse psychology to get him to take the piece there. Still, there's no way to actually finish him off here, it appears. I mean, I must be winning. This seems weird, but I'm kind of fixing the pawn on b7. Uh-oh. Bishop d5. Not one to give up. So if I play bishop d5, he plays rook d8, I play rook d3. Then he has like knight c5, but I have an answer. Oh my god. I just get mated on the back rank. Alright. It's a good thing to notice that. Really resilient. This dude. No more back rank mate, okay? I almost just lost in one move. That's really sick. I did catch it though. It's my first game today of this afternoon, so. The jig is up. This is it, man. You're running out of things to do now. Forced exchange of stuff. Yeah, I think it's toast now. Toast. Finally. We'll take that. Alright, I don't think I ever let him completely off the hook. I almost lost in one move, but overall the game looked okay. Not a good opening. We've got challenges from Crow Chest Fan, Bob, HGG, Ananas, Mule Skinner, Ace, Goo, and Juicebox. So the majority of these players are subscribers. Bob, Ananas, Mule Skinner, Ace, and Juicebox Wizard. I'm going to take those guys first. Yeah, dude, I don't see the purpose of Bullet. I really fail to understand. Like, 3-0 should be enough. Like, you don't need to play chess faster than that if you want to get good at chess. If you want entertainment, I can understand. Yeah, good decision, Future Chess. I mean, there's just no reason to play 1-minute chess. It's addictive, you know. All right. Thank you, guys. That was our first game. So what am I doing? I'm playing the King's Indian against Bobby. Yesterday I had a King's Indian against Ananas, and I think I'm going to stop playing Knight C6, man. That variation is just really annoying line he plays with Queen D3. Man, I've got to find something else. Let's see what Bob does. Bobbert? Bob's real name is not Bob. Bob is just a character. But I like calling him Bob. The problem with bullet, although it may be fun, it's obviously addictive, and you start doing it and you can't stop, and like, that's enough, you know. Good fight. Yeah, kind of a good fight there. But we always count on that from Morois. Yeah, so this variation, I've had a number of games in this, and it's kind of funny. Like, a couple of them follow the exact same line. Bob is actually Kramer. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just someone that Kramer claimed to know. So, was it ever revealed that Bob is really Kramer? Like, is like Kramer's alter ego? Or is it just never really openly shown? Right, he's Kramer's good friend. But was there some episode where it's like theorized that he's actually Kramer's alter ego or something? Alright. Anyway, I saw a Seinfeld episode for the first time like last week. First time in years. Okay, bishop g4 castles, so now knight c6, bishop e3. How does this usually go? Yeah, I guess knight c6. Bishop e3, knight d7. This is different than most people have reacted against me. I guess they had played bishop e3. The other players had played bishop e3. I'm thinking after bishop g4. Terry might have been one of them. Actually, Morois was one of the victims, I think, on the white side of this line. Previously. Is transposition still possible? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Why, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, knight d7. And then there, and then I go there, and he goes there, and I go there. That's a weird, different position. Slightly different than the game. I feel like I'm cashing in my chips a little early here. Bishop d3 is a move. Sarah, while I'm playing in the game you analyzed on my YouTube. No, it's not the same, Arsenal. It's not the same. Sarah Juan plays it without playing knight f3. There's a huge difference. It's a totally different line, dude. Sarah Juan's variation is played bishop d3 on move 5. It's absolutely a good line. This is a mistake. There's a big difference. Yeah. Similar but not the same. So I'm going to have to contract JCS here to train me how to play against that ananas line. We're going to have to work it out for black. I don't know, man. That queen d3 is an annoying line. It's just no fun for black. Hopefully I don't get black against ananas. So here we get the trick again. This is like a different... Isn't this different? Look, Bob, have a free night, man. Help yourself. But this is actually slightly different than the trick I had in the other games. There were 2 other games. How do you describe this tactic? It's like... It needs a name, you know? I love this tactic. This is the 3rd time. Yeah, exactly, Arsenal fan. Exactly. The knight goes to e2. A tic-tac. Juicebox Wizard. Sorry to re-challenge because I lost audio. Alright, Juicebox. You have any idea where you were? You were like, yeah, you were up there. I guess around ace or something. You know the sign from the book 1d4 by Avrook, it's 8 years old. But in looking at the opening Explorer, like, still there's nothing convincing for black. I don't see one line I really like. So you drilled this line with chess base. Yeah, I can tell. So this is slightly different from what happened in previous games. The position was a different move order.
The other games, white wasn't castled, and I ended up like smashing their position worse than just winning a pawn. But here, we're clearly better. But I don't want to get too greedy, you know. Like knight takes b2 is a really bad move. For example. So this is not a position that I find all that easy to play. e5 is even interesting. e5, queen takes d3, pawn takes d4, knight takes d4. Do I have enough there? Not really. Queen f6, knight b5, queen takes b2, rook b1. There's got to be a better way to do this. I mean, I guess I should just like move my knight back to e5. White has a little initiative, but I'm up a clear pawn. C'est la vie. Bob has some compensation. It shouldn't be enough. It shouldn't really be enough. Take on b2 loses a piece. Bishop takes g7 and queen c3 check. You could take on d4, then take on b2, but it's like very awkward. There'll be problems with my b7 pawn, maybe some sort of knight f5. This looks like the safest option. He still has f4 here, and I was thinking, okay, knight d7, bishop takes. I'm up a pawn. But knight takes c4, still not a good idea. Of course, there's knight c6 as well, which is the lesser of the evils. It looks like Bob has compensation now, so I misplayed this. He has some attacking chances to compensate for that pawn. I don't know. The computer will probably give him close to equal, I would estimate. This is really a matter of style. If you prefer material or having the initiative. Like, Bob has a little initiative here. But rook d1 might be a concrete mistake, because I can play e5, and that really seems to kind of kill his initiative. Queen sacrifice? Perhaps. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes e5. Alright, now, do we take on f4? Knight c5 is tempting too. The problem is f5, really. Alright, I'll take my chances here. I have to be careful his knight doesn't get in ananas style to like d5. He'll take the extra pawn. Now I can try to blockade the e5 square. So like knight e5 c5 again gives white a little bit of play. I'm trying to just not allow any compensation. Bishop e5 is kind of a funny move. Might even be like not a bad idea, but nah. Seems kind of weird. Alright, so he's gonna play like bishop takes, king takes, knight c3, maybe c6, and I'm just up a pawn. I like the pawn. I'll take the pawn. Now he could actually change plans and go knight d4, and then he has that knight f5 in my face. I guess I like the pawn too, but white's pieces are very active here. Chess Ponda has been summoned with the move h4. Who hath summoned me with h4? Oh, pawn down, nice job. So, the Ponda is skeptical, but he likes the idea of h4. It's a spicy meatball. Knight f6, anybody? Seems like kind of crazy to play knight f6. Not developing any more pieces, giving up the blockade of e5. But I have knight h5. I think I'm gonna vomit momentarily. This probably wasn't the best line I could choose. 137. It's a miracle I'm not lost by force in this position. Because Mr. Bob has one at least very interesting move, which I overlooked. No thanks to h4. Well, h4 sort of sucked me into doing this non-developing move. 19 question mark. Did anybody see Soltigo today? I think he's not here. Was he on? Juicebox Wizard. Merle Dixon. So the really scary move, and anybody see this? Queen g5. Like, I can't defend f6 and I can't move my knight, but I have a miracle save there. Like, queen g5 h6. Bob just resigned. Bob, that's kind of anticlimactic. I'm not slow rolling you here. I just wanted to show this position with queen g5. I have h6. And luckily I don't lose anything. h6, bishop takes f6, h takes g, he takes on e7, then I take on f4. And fortunately, at the end of the day, he gets back the exchange. But we're still better. Kind of luck, because I didn't see queen g5 at all. You get forked on h5. He ignored my threat. That's why he resigned here. I mean, he just basically just ignored what I was trying to do. So it's over. I mean, he's losing an exchange on top of the pawn that he's already down. Was a hasty move. Okay, these guys are not subscribers. We'll challenge them later. Gonna play Ananas, Mule Skinner, Ace, and Arsenal Juicebox. Trying to delay the inevitable here. Please be white. Oh, man. Come on. Damn. He's white again. I can't play the King's Indian. I have to put that variation in the repair shop. What do we play against Ananas? We'll mess with them with like e6. I never tried this. You see, you can do this against devoted d4 players. I used to use this against certain players who just promise they'll never play e4. I tried it against Hikaru, and he just called my bluff and played e4. I lost like one of the only Frenches I ever played in my life. But against Ananas, we can use this move order to kind of mess with him. He loves to play g3. So d4, we've sort of prevented, at least temporarily, prevented g3 by playing the... You try to resign more than a pawn down against this guy. Yeah, you would have enjoyed the simul yesterday. People are like rook down. Okay, I'm not going to go back to that. I was pretty salty about it. It was an angry simul yesterday, but at least it brought out a lot of viewers. Doesn't the queen pin still work after the fork? Something's not right about that statement. No, I don't think so. I mean, you're just losing the exchange. What queen pin? So maybe Ananas knows this, but it's refreshing to get him to have to play a position where he doesn't go g3 for the first time in my life. I've got him out of his favorite g3 comfort zone. It's funny that I never thought to try this. Rodixa said, more simuls, please. I said next week is going to be a subscriber and close friends simul. Thank you for the donation, Merle Dixon. JCS and Merle Dixon with 100 bits. Okay, so d5. This is the kind of move that looks like it's not developing, you know, and it just kind of looks slow. Not that easy to exploit. I myself now have problems that I can't, you know, put my knight on c6 or whatever. So there's got to be some thought going into this here. Queen f6 is interesting. There's all kinds of funkadelic moves. My instinct is to play knight a6. There's also the Tony Miles-esque queen h4. Queen h4, bishop d3. And then it's like, then what? You know, what does queen h4 do after bishop d3? You gotta ask yourself the question. Are the Nazca lines actually laid out by ancient aliens? Alright, knight c5. We're just doing our thing. That was the plan. More my thing so you can do your thing. I'm obviously watching too much TV. So he's just developing. He's like, screw it, you know. I'm just going to develop. Yeah, that's a good move. Very smart. He avoids the double pawns, just gets developed. And now I feel stupid about the whole bishop on b4. I had my chance to double his pawns and I didn't do it. Your 15-year-old nephew is just beginning chess. He wants me to go easy on him, but I smash him anyway. Is there any benefit to toning it down against a beginner? Yeah. Yeah, I think that I also don't like, you know, losing on purpose. And I mean, everybody does that with their kids and stuff. But I think you don't want to discourage them by smashing them down constantly, you know. That's really the main question, isn't it? Just to totally turn people off by smashing them, Bob. You know, that's the thing we want to kind of avoid, I guess. Explaining the reason why he's blundering. Okay, good suggestion, Arsenal. This is pretty funkadelic. I'm not that thrilled with what I got here. I think like a completely different approach, the Jesse Cry, would have been like c6. I could have just tried to attack his pawn chain with c6 straight out of the gate. Maybe that was the way to go. Yeah, a good suggestion from Ace1886. Playing like odds is a really good suggestion, Bob. I agree with Ace there. It's fun for both, you know, for both players, the stronger player and the beginner as well. That way. Now I had to trade my bishop in a very convenient way for white, so I think he's just better. This was badly played by me. I let his stupid d5. Let him get away with this d5. Practically making it look like a refutation of the English defense. Yeah. So d5, I can't be playing knight a6. We need a more direct refutation. And crazy stuff like f5 might be too much. I mean, if f3, I think the f5 kind of craziness is justified. But if no f3, queen h4 feels too experimental. f5 looks unsound. So I'm thinking maybe you should just do like c6. A really experienced English defense player might have gone for that plan. My problem is that I'm just not playing this opening often enough. I think that's kind of handicapping me. So if I play knight g6, I'm getting rolled off the board with f4. I think we need to stabilize our positions somehow. This is just kind of ugly. It's pretty ugly. It's passive. And black is worse. Wonderful. d6 and c6. Well, I mean, I think the c6 thing should have been straight out of the gate. The way I approach the position. This is going to be ugly. This is like a bad Queen's Indian where I don't have enough space. So, how am I? I'm fine. Bishop takes c5 and bishop a4 check is like king f8, no problem. This is an important minor piece. I don't think he should trade that on c5, though he could. Ananas got a nice space advantage here. He can play f4. Kind of feels like he's concentrating queenside. Well, that whole thing with like if I play c6, he plays d6 Arsenal. I mean, that's always really critical. Does the pawn on d6 get overextended? My problem is that, as I said a minute ago, the English defense is something that I really started to work on at one point, like 15 years ago, and I actually played it fairly frequently. But the problem is, I think since like 2008, I almost never played it. I basically kind of dropped it from my repertoire, and I don't really know why. I just, you can't play everything. You got to play like something, and then in favor of something else, So I kind of put it to the back burner, and I don't think my theory here is really well enough worked out. But we're going to try to take this passive position and defend it successfully. Did you see Shaq and Sergey game? No. It's so funny, dude. Like, okay, when people say Shaq, I'm like basketball, even though I don't follow basketball. But no, I understand. But Sergey is not. It's not a name for me. I know who you're talking about, but I'm not inspired. Knight g6, bishop takes g7. We sack a pawn. Interesting idea, though. Try to steal the initiative. No, nah, not gonna happen. Castles. I guess I'm walking into a devastating Atzel Gergo like game. I lost to Nimzo last year where he had this rolling e5 thing. I don't know why. I just can't really like Karyakin. I mean, I really appreciate the effort he made in the World Championship match. But I just can't. I don't know. I never seen like Karyakin games. I'm like, wow, that's a Karyakin game. For some reason, Mamedyarov he inspires something. When you see his games, or Aronian. For me, Karyakin, he's always been kind of robotic. I can't explain it any other way. Watching him as he developed, it just feels like he's kind of a chess machine without as much personality as some players like Mamedyarov. Man, White's play is... He's got this huge piece mass that's just kind of pointing toward my king side. Very typical Queen's Indian, where the bishop needs to be regrouped here. Needs to be regrouped. But as is typical, using the word typical too much, as is typical in the Queen's Indian and a lot of different King's Indians. I mean, if you lose the e5 square... And that's why Nimzovich is critical of attacking the head of the pawn chain, because it's easy to do. It's easy to lose control of e5, because it's my strong point. It's usually within reach of a lot of my pieces. It's like playing f4. Where's Asterbait? He's not here today. I guess he's camping. But it's like playing f4 against the Czech Benoni. You're kind of going against the grain. And now Arsenal says, I like black now. He's coming over to the dark side. I bet like let's say, $5 if I was to make a bet, that the engine would say now it's about equal. Within 0.3, I don't think that black is better, and I don't think white is better. I think there's a stasis now at this point where, like, his bishops and his space advantage is compensated by my ironclad grip on e5. $5, okay. It's just an arbitrary number I suggested. What would you bet with a friend over something like, well, what is this position? I could bet more. I'll be brave, like $1,000. I bet $1,000. Bob's like laughing. It's not a large amount of money by today's standards. But the point isn't the amount. I'm just saying Arsenal is inspired by black now. I'm not that much. I'm more not the word I wanted. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. No time for a4 now. Anyway, there wouldn't be time for a4. Ruh-roh. There is knight e5, but there's the knight g3. The rook g3 thing is pretty nasty. So I guess we have to come back. Come back to d7. Relocate. That's the one square position I talk about sometimes in IQP situations. All my pieces are like convoluted and fighting over this one square. No, you give it to me. No, you give it to me. Let me use it. No. You know, and that's why black isn't better, because we're all fighting over one stupid square. I mean, I'm thinking like h4, Ponda style. I have to play rook d8, which is really dumb. For lack of a better plan, I could sack the exchange, or not. Not even. Petrosian. Actually, knight e5, bishop takes e8, queen takes e8. We probably have like reasonable compensation there. But I'm not going to go to that extreme. Knight b5 and knight a7 might be an idea for Ananas now. Yeah, that's what I expected. We go with two knights against two Bischoff. What about f5 breaking out? Speaking of controversial moves, who am I helping there if I play f5 realistically? He who helps himself and all that stuff. It might actually help white. Although, if I don't play f5, we have cheap tactics. That's about it. Is this even a good move? I think I just... Yeah, no, actually it is good. Wait, what just happened here? Dude, I just did bishop d7 and he didn't do knight takes? No, he couldn't. Because his bishop's on a4. That's weird. It wasn't hanging. I'm, you know, kind of confused here. But I want to see where I bet $5 if I was really right. Where was it exactly? It's somewhere around here. I think I would have lost my bet. Computer's like white's still clearly better. It's a good thing it wasn't really a bet. Yeah, he just blundered. Alright, so Mule Skinner's up next. Then Ace. Then Arsenal. I'm taking the subscribers. Juicebox actually was up there around after Ace. Juicebox got disconnected. I don't remember exactly where everybody was. After knight d7. Bob, what's the evaluation after knight d7? I'm clearly worse, right? It's like +1. Arsenal got on the bandwagon a little too fast there. Oh man, why is Mule Skinner always white against me? This is getting ridiculous. He's white like every single game. Every single game is like the Grand Prix attack. I can't take it anymore. What does he play here? Make it interesting. I'm starting to play this classical Berlin defense. Actually, it's not a classical Berlin. This is just a classical. If you play knight f6 and everybody plays d3. Okay, wow, c3 right away. That's interesting. So now it's like a classical Berlin with c3. Berlin classical. Oh, is f5? This is the siesta variation or something? No, that's different. Oh, f5 on move 3, Nefedov. Yeah, I have played f5 on move 3. Haven't looked at it lately. One of my many blitz openings over the course of many years. D6. Okay, I mean, anytime there's D3, it's like a pretty quiet line with the bishop out on C5. So the computer doesn't think I had enough compensation based on like one lousy square. Okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm trying to get the hang of these lines. If we just give him the bishop with knight c4. I had a similar game yesterday in the simul, but he didn't care. He went to f1. Why not knight c4, Mule Skinner? Basically the same thing with kind of like additional options. It feels like an Italian game with the bishop on b5. White has, however, not castled kingside yet. So, break out the Ponda. Knight e7, bishop g5, knight g6, h4. It's not really Mule Skinner's style to do that, though, is it? Yeah. No, I mean, Ananas tends to, like, kind of... He's a good player, but he does have a tendency kind of, like, self-destruct in time pressure. He's lost a lot of good positions against me. It might be something he needs to think about. You know, it's kind of... Maybe his middle game needs more work. I don't know, because he always seems to have the advantage out of the opening. He definitely seems good in the opening. Endgames, you know, he's not a super strong endgame player, but not bad. It feels like he gets lost in those middle game positions where he's better. Oftentimes, like, spoiling good games. Okay, here I was thinking bishop g5, seriously. There, you know, you could do like a Leko Sveshnikov. Speaking of Sveshnikov, maybe like just let him take on f6 type of thing. King h8. Joseph Henry Blackburn. Some kind of romantic. Maybe he's just slow. Your main response, yeah, the c5 Future Chess GM. Copycat. It's a Spanish where it's not a Spanish. It's an Italian game where his bishop's on b5 instead of c4. That's what we're looking at. Ha ha. Your bishop's on b5. It doesn't really seem very relevant. But on the other hand, okay, it's hard to take advantage of that as like something good for me. At least we got some kind of different position. I'm so sick of playing the Grand Prix attack. So Ananas middle game work is necessary. But I think you need to think about that position. Do you want to play for f4 or not? I think Ananas, there's more than one way to play the middle game. He chose to play for f4. He could have just focused on playing on the queen side. That's a kind of different method, let's say, methodology. Spike Lee is pretty hit or Mitch. Mitch. Oh, you saw the movie. Okay. Do you like knight c6? You know, you're talking about a very, very broad question, Future Chess GM. I mean, you could play knight c6 on move 2 and play all different kind of stuff. There's the Sveshnikov, you can transpose to e6 systems. What else? I play classical Sicilian a lot, so it's kind of a broad question. It's really better to just ask, like, you know, about specific variations. The Richter-Rauser, like, kind of sucks for black. I should really learn something else. I was having this discussion with a strong theoretician, and he was of the same opinion. Like, we both decided that basically the classical Sicilian with bishop g5 is kind of bad for black. There really aren't that many good Sicilians. There's the Najdorf, there's the Sveshnikov, and there's some kind of, like, the better e6 systems. And the rest of it seems like not very good, you know, so you really have to choose one of the above, either the Najdorf, the Sveshnikov, or some sort of e6 system. The Dragon is bad, the classical, you know, Richter-Rauser is bad, the Accelerated Dragon's probably bad. I mean, there's, you know, I'm talking about on like the highest level. You know, it's obviously... So the Rossalimo... the Rossalimo is always good for white. It's a problem for black, you know. I'm not sure if you can equalize by force against the Rossalimo. I need a second opinion about how to play against the Rossalimo because I played the same system for too long and I'm too predictable. So I need another system. Okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? This always kind of freaks me out. I guess we're going c6 and like d5 with tempo. We'll try to play this extended structure with d5. Will Skinner's basically playing the Italian game now. I mean, he'll probably go bishop a4, not to confront me. Give me a tempo seems sort of weird, doesn't it? I mean, bishop c4, d5. He has to play bishop b3. Either way, though, I can play d5. Do you think the accelerated dragon is less sound than hyper accelerated dragon? I don't really think that the hyper accelerated dragon is really, and this is someone who's played it, it's not really an opening of itself. Like, there's one variation with like g6, white plays d4 takes and queen takes d4. It's just, that's the only difference. It really isn't an opening until itself. I think this is simply, you know, it's going to transpose in most cases to the same thing. So it's not really a question. I don't think it really is bad to play g6 on move 2. Though there's probably some way for white to get an advantage there. But what am I doing here? Playing for d5. You know, Skinner's idea is to kind of bore you to death. This could get risky. If I play d5, he plays rook e1. What about knight g4? Does that ever work? Am I overextending myself now? I guess I could defend with queen d6 if necessary. If I ever really needed to defend my e5 pawn. You know, there's certain people who play these kind of positions like all their life. You know, like Sergei Kudrin playing the Joko or Italian game like his whole life with the white pieces, or certain e4 e5 players playing the black side of the e4 e5 Joko and d3 Spanish. But I just don't have that kind of feel for these positions. I haven't been playing this type of line like in my life, you know. That's this kind of position, Bob. I mean, e45 can turn into really fascinating struggles, but this is the way the modern grandmasters are heading. Like, more and more like boring Italian games, d3 against the Roy Lopez. It's just not a lot of flash and fun, you know. I never really thought like e45 was much fun for black. It was seemed like kind of tedious to me. The Sicilian is so much more active. But with computers, we're starting to see that the problems exist, you know. So it's much safer at the grandmaster level to just accept the fact that you're playing just for a solid position. In the 80s, everybody played the Sicilian. Now we're moving away from it toward e4, e5. I think because of engines, you know. Don't play the Berlin. Actually, now future GM, I remember your repertoire. And we talked about some stuff with Queen e2. The Worrell attack. We still playing that? So e5, cd5, we take toward the center. Any pawn move you make is always like more risky. I could take with the queen, but he's got bishop e3. Not right away, but later on. In retrospect, maybe I could have done so, like queen takes d5, when he doesn't have a good way to hold up d3. Queen takes d5, queen e2. You're a d4 player now, okay. I think you mentioned that in one of the previous streams. You never know, people change their openings like underwear. I mean, you could have changed openings back and forth 3 times by now. Well, I think the best is to play both, you know, ultimately, which you'll probably end up doing. Will Skinner is feeling like he's drifting here. H3. Am I overextending myself or creating tactical chances? I don't know, guys. Will Skinner might lose on time. So you score better with D4. Then, yeah, maybe you just appreciate the closed games. Traditionally, the D4 games were called closed games. I never quite understood that, though. Why? You know? Okay, it's not as lively. It's not like E4, E5, D4, and everything opens up. But I always thought that was kind of too white and black to call, like, E4 games the open games and D4 games the closed games. It's like a 1940s sort of mentality. Too white and black. Black and white. Alright. What do we do? What do we do? I was talking about Queen D6 early. This thing is surprisingly annoying. This bishop on A4. He refuses to move that. Is it on purpose or just kind of like a coincidence? What about the D3 pawn? Can I take that? Oh, man, there's always more questions than answers. You got to admit, Queen C7 is kind of a weird move. 100% cheapo. Future GM got the totally professional repertoire going on. Very solid. Yeah, the knight f5, I mean, I've been anticipating that. It's a matter of time, but he doesn't have it supported by very much. I'm basically looking at like taking it and playing maybe Queen E5. And then we try to like annihilate him with like Bishop C7. That's why I didn't play Queen D6. I didn't want to get hit by Knight F5 with tempo. This seems like a kind of weird move. I mean, is he going to be able to open up the C file? For real? He's anticipating Bishop takes D4. No, that was never my idea. Trust me. Man, I've got Knight E5 here. That would have been a better move last move. What if I had gone Knight E5? Oh man, that's frustrating. Okay. Very frustrating. He's driving me pretty nuts here. Is C4 an option? No. If you don't know what to do, just make a waiting move. A6 is okay. Keeps him off of B5. Gives my bishop retreat square. What do you got? Discoveries? What's up with 95? Let's say... Let's not. I don't know. I'm just going to flag. We'll just make random moves. That's eventually what happens after a while. You just start making random moves. Trying to keep the tension here, but I'm not making any progress. I feel like Will Skinner has gotten stronger. He was always decent. He's underrated. Oh, that was the point of that move, Bishop E3. I was wondering why you did that. Alright. I'm so silly. I didn't see the point. Silly me. Also, Queen E5, kind of a weird move. But it is centralized. You got to give it that. That is a centralized queen on E5. Controlling a lot of squares. Will Skinner. Allowing Rook D8. Nearly decisive. I hope this doesn't blunder something. Yeah, you found that. You got him on time, but he still got G3. He's worse now, though. It was like a battle of attrition. we eventually tricked him. All right. Just wondering if you need to play both e4 and d4 to get to GM. No, I don't think you do. You know, the most striking example of that was this guy, Will Paschall, who played in First Saturday with me like back in 2004, 2005. The young Vietnamese grandmaster, although he was like massively talented, he had a totally narrow repertoire. So he showed that you can actually become a GM even with an extremely narrow repertoire, if your technique and tactics are good. You know, I think that's really a credit to him. Although that was a long time ago. You know, that was 10 years ago, and more than 10 years ago. Maybe it's harder to do that today with more people have more access to information. But I think optimally, yeah, you would be better off playing both. Okay, I said ace was next. Then we'll play Juicebox Wizard because he got dropped. I mean, the guy only played the Trompowsky every single game. He made 3 GM norms, playing the Trompowsky every single game where he was white, and everybody knew it was coming. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, how can you really seriously make GM norms one after another, where your white game is like d4, knight f6, bishop g5 every single game, and the other guys know it's coming, and you still beat people, and you still make GM norms. It's unbelievable, you know, so I think the truth is that the other things that are more important than openings, you know, the endgame skills and the middle game skills and the tactics, these things are more important than openings. That's all, you know, the end of the story there. So, openings are overrated. E3. So c5, knight b5 is just bad, right? Bishop g7, knight b5 is the Aronian, what's it called? There was a New in Chess article about that, I think. I can be a wimp here and play c6 and play reverse, what a, you know, kind of system what I would do anyway. There's also a6, which is probably a decent move. So you got to make a decision here. E3 is kind of restricting white's options. A6. But what's the follow-up with A6? We can do A6 and then what? Let's go with the C6. Passive but solid. He doesn't have any more of this Queen D2, Jabava, Bishop G7, all that stuff, transposing to the Pierce. Ace is actually playing a classical. What's it called? What's the English master this is named after? Not my generation. Mark Hebden has a name for this. I forget what it's called. Ponda.
Where's Hebby? I don't know, but he has a name for this. What's it called? It's some English master who played the stuff.
I can't name it now. What is it called? One of you UK guys tell me. Where is Mark when you need him? Okay, so the H4. No, the Barry attack. Thank you, JCS. Barry, like Milner Barry. That's what Hebden calls it. He's the authority. So he was doing this forever. I guess I can play Bishop G7. There's no reason to hold off on that, I suppose. We do have H5. There's also knight on BD7. Maybe that's more flexible. I don't know. Possibly I get blown away with like G4 here. This is not a move order I face very often. It's totally not trendy to play E3. Like virtually everybody plays Queen D2 or Knight F3. So this specific move order is weird. At least in my praxis. No, I'm not well prepared for it, apparently. Been working a lot on the Queen D, how to handle the Queen D2 type of stuff. But this stuff, more old school. Yeah, this is the classic quote-unquote Barry attack. So do we go h5? Do we just ignore it? Yeah. Now you're gonna play king f1. I know you are. Coffee house chess. You saw Mark Hebden. He seemed a really nice guy, yeah. He is a good guy. The last time I saw him, we went out to a Chinese restaurant. That was quite a while back. Maybe it wasn't Chinese, it was Indian. I take it back. A good curry. It was Indian. Hastings. So queen d2. Yeah, I should play in Hastings this year. You never know what the future might hold. Queen d2. Alright. What's up, Mr. Coffee? Soltigo's here. Oh, I'd like a good curry. I could go for a good curry tonight. Eh? Queen d2. It's been a while since I practiced my English accent. Yeah, Gormley and Hebden are thick as thieves. They're good buddies. Queen d2. Obviously, Danny is a much younger generation, but they're really like drinking buddies. So, h5, drinking club, right? Arsenal fan, you know about that. It's not chess club. It's a drinking tournament. Okay, I'm really wasting time here because I don't know what to do. Isn't that the truth? Alright, I've got to come up with a solution. Something that fits everything here. Move 11. I'm playing around this. Okay, against the Smith-Morra. Should I play c3, d5, Yoster's preference? Or accept? Well, I mean, I always play the accepted with the same line every single time. So I'm pretty predictable. c3, d5. Talking about curry started to make me hungry, which is bad. Don't want to get hungry yet in the stream. Knight h5, knight g4. Knight g4 is kind of a weird move, isn't it? Strangely apropos. Nothing protects that piece there. It's kind of funny, like hanging out in the void. Alright, well, what am I going to do here? Wasting time. I keep forgetting that ace is 2200. 2200 blitz. Wait, he's 2200 rapid. Pretty strong player. He plays every time control. A drinking club with a chess problem. Alright, I'm going to make a decision here momentarily. Stop being lame. Just make moves. I mean, I think this position is more or less difficult for both sides. I mean, White has to think about what he's doing. It's pretty abstract, you know, with the h4. Can't castle traditionally. If you castle queenside, the game could become very sharp. Black doesn't know which way White's going to go. So we have this game where we're just kind of second guessing and waiting for the other guy to decide what to do. JCS is like, what is curry? He's not a food critic. JCS has to be joking, right? You have been in our JCS. You have been in our Discord channel where we have like a food. There is like a food room. All right, so he decides to go castle kingside after all that. That's totally unexpected. Man, I was not thinking that's gonna go down. Seems weird. Really seems weird to do that. On the other hand, though, I mean, black doesn't have a lot of great moves. So I'll just castle. Whatever. I know my queen is funny on a5. I have to watch for, like, discoveries. What is the name of the... what is the name of the food room, Soltigo, in our Discord channel? You know, Soltigo's actually a cook. I like food, and I occasionally cook. So, and it's close to dinner time. We start talking food. It's very distracting. So, I didn't know if JCS was being serious, or if he really doesn't know what curry is. It's the whole reason why the East Indies were discovered, basically. I think. I'm not sure. Alright, that's why they started importing spices back to the UK from India. To make, you know, history really simple. We just call it Indian food. Yeah. We go to the Indian food store. Well, the Brits have a way of calling, like, curry. No food talk. It's 11 p.m. in England. Americans just call it Indian food. Going to the Indian restaurant, you know. They don't talk about getting a good curry. Rook FD1. Basically, ace is the place with a helpful hardware man. But I mean, just so I don't know what to do. He's not being very helpful here. He's like really doing nothing. Like my queen on a5 is now on the unemployment line. I mean, it's just going to get hit by b4. Let's be realistic and give up on that ghost. And I think this is going to be a thing that actually won a game for me many years ago. Was like when white played h4 against my king's Indian and this pawn became weak. It's a little weird to play h4 and then castle on that side. Ace is a dinosaur. I didn't know that. JCS might be joking. Now, unfortunately, I can't do what was his name? The Danish guy I played bishop h6 here in a position like this. That would be nice if I could do that. Really kind of sucks that I can't. But c'est la vie. So what are we doing? Bishop f5. Kind of want to develop my pieces. And then there's this e4 business. The business. Knight g4. Why don't I do knight g4? They have other players. The Russians will bring special players. That's what Romanicians said. Knight e4, knight takes e4, and white is he better there? I'm about to lose on time. It's really kind of sad. I don't know what to do, and I don't really have a plan. Alright, we got 30 seconds. Lots and lots of nightclubs and people with drinking problems down here. Always room for food. What chess event happened in 1886? The International Curry House Championship. 1886 sounds familiar. Some kind of match, probably. I think Ace's move is suspicious. Bishop g3. But I should qualify it by saying slightly suspicious. Doesn't seem right. I mean, he should probably exchange on g7. The unofficial World Championship. Zuckertor. Yeah, actually, that for a while was one of my favorite games. There was a Zuckertor game that I had memorized. One of his like most famous victories. But I don't know that it was against Steinitz. Do you guys know the Zuckertor game? This like insanely awesome game that he played that I can't remember anymore. Who was that against? I think it was Zuckertor and Blackburn though. I'm trying to remember. No, Lasker. It's a little early for Lasker. 1886. It was a good year. Ace is drifting. He's drifting on time. Yeah, but this has been a boring game by both of us. Wait a second here. Yes. Yes.
Give me a Y. Give me an E. Give me a...
Okay, that button is embarrassing sometimes. There is the other one that sounds like Montgomery Burns, though. I really...
Yes.
No? Yes! Pawn sacrifice is new here. Alright. No, I like the Montgomery Burns sound. Yes.
Well, yes.
No?
Yes.
Wait.
Yes, 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 yes,
No.
yes. Yes! Yeah, baby.
I'm not getting it, man. Where am I crazy? Yes. Maybe that's on the no button. The Zucker toward Blackburn game. That's the one I'm talking about. That was one of my favorite games of all time. I haven't played through it in a long time. And when I say that, it's not like there's only one Zucker toward Blackburn game. I mean, there's probably more than one. But there was like one epic Zucker toward Blackburn game. Now I'm just like flagging, so I'm playing lazy moves. Lazy moves. Unfortunately, chess degenerates when played bullet style. The Zucker toward Immortal game versus Blackburn. Thank you. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't already seen it. This game by Zucker toward is unreal. It made me a Zucker toward fan for life. Pawn sacrifice, you're welcome to the stream. Okay, this game obviously will be decided primarily by time. Not normally what I try to aim for here. But that's the way it is. I'm just gonna offer a draw, dude. I mean, this seems more or less equal. You know, I'm not gonna like try to flag, whatever. I mean, it's equal. Good game. I'm curious about the opening. If we could just take a second to see like who left book here in the opening, probably white, but I'm not sure. Let's see. So he plays this, and then he plays e3. If you look at the opening explorer, it is still the main move, but I'm seeing way more queen e2 and knight f3, and maybe that's because of different move orders. So e3 and then c6 right away is actually the second most common move for black. But it also has a much better score. So if you check this out and you care about statistics at all, you might, and I also mentioned a6 being a move. I just don't know what the follow-up is really with a6. I guess there is no clear follow-up. But let's see, Carlson, Dingley Ren. What do we got? What do we got with c6 here? Vichugov versus Bologan. Kojal lost. It's embarrassing. Alright, h4. So this is basically not played by anybody. h4, no. Second most common move. Bishop b2 just tells you what, you know, just tells the other guy what you're going to do. So I played what here? Knight bd7. Kostyniuk. Alright. I'm sexy and I know it. Knight on bd7. Stefanova versus Kostyniuk. It's 2014. Not a very old game. Yeah, this is a TN. I mean, h6, maybe I should just play that right away, honestly. Alright, guys. Interesting game. White with 16 center pawn loss. Black with 16 center pawn loss. Very eventful. Soltigo, there's been a question in my mind lately. If someone is good against an opening, would it suggest they can play that opening well and vice versa? So does that mean someone should be good defending against their own openings? Personally, Soltigo, I don't know if this helps, but I find playing against my own openings to be kind of irritating. I'm going to take Juicebox. He got dropped there. So I don't know what you feel like, but I find, ironically, rated for the rated 3.0. Thank you for the warning. We got Bellafil. Bellafil with a rated game. No rated 3.0. Thank you for the warning. Juicebox Wizard playing c4. Alright. So, what are we going to do? I think last time I played e5, we had a weird game in the simul against Juicebox. Guys, thank you for the support. JCS donated 100 bits. Merle Dixon today. Soltigo with 10. Getting off onto the leaderboard. You can also send a donation via PayPal. A lot of people have done that in the past. I appreciate it. We need support to keep the stream going. So now we've got just the G6. It's like a standard. Kasparov actually liked to play against English like this. Another player who I played a lot, Alexander Ivanov, who played a lot of modern defense, liked to play this way against the English. Okay, so now Juicebox gives me the chance to play this Gingy Indian, or Beefeater defense. Move 11 has a nemesis who loves the C3 Sicilian for both sides. Now that is hard to understand. I don't think I've ever met a Sicilian player who likes the C3 Sicilian for the other side. I mean, they must exist, but usually like they fall into one category or the other. Like either they love the Sicilian or they love playing the C3 Sicilian against it. Most C3 Sicilian players don't play the Sicilian. Most Sicilian players like hate the C3 Sicilian, and they think it's like, you know, it would be like against their religion to play like the C3. So it's kind of weird. Okay, E3 is a very safe move. And we could transpose to some kind of, let's say, Panov attack or E3 against the King's Indian, which is becoming a little bit trendy with Caruana picking it up. I know this guy, I don't know him, but I know that this master, Axel Smith or whatever, wrote this book called E3 Poison. And I don't know if that's contributing to the fact that a lot of people are playing this E3 type of stuff, but you know, it's an idea that I've been aware of for a long time. White can basically play in a kind of, this is Mr. Coffee plays this too. White can play in a kind of defensive way against the King's Indian. And some other openings like the Dutch. Here, I guess D5 is a reverse Catalan. There's also the possibility of taking on D4, transposing to the Panov, which I played a lot. Gary Fong. Maroczy bind for both sides. Well, that I can see. I play the Maroczy bind for both sides. The Maroczy bind, it's not like the C3 Sicilian. I mean, the Maroczy bind is just undoubtedly correct. You know, it's something that's correct, and there's no question. You know, people like to make fun of the C3 Sicilian. It's like we criticize the C3 Sicilian players for being afraid to go into the main line. There might be an argument that the C3 Sicilian isn't quite as sharp as other lines. Now, Juicebox took here. I'm afraid that is probably White's most promising move. Where's Merle Dixon? Is he in the stream here? This looks like something he'd do. We've got a Merle Dixon-like situation. Queen A5 might be theory. There's also some provocative stuff like Knight A6. Let's try it. Let's go out on a limb. You know, we're going to play crazy here. I think my engine actually suggested this. But I have no idea if this is sound. It feels unsound. Just sacking a pawn for nothing. Now, I have some development, but is it enough? You know, big question. This looks... It looks like too much. Probably I should play like takes on c4, or we can go Merle Dixon style with like Queen A5 and take the pawn with the queen. But I've played the E3 against the Grunfeld sometimes. You know, Queen A5, Bishop D2 looks pretty darn boring. Your chess teacher said only masters can play Knight A6. I played Knight A6 in the King's Indian. I'm not sure that my engine suggested it was... I'm not implying that my engine suggested it was the best move, an Arsenal fan, but I think it suggested that it was an interesting move. Like, it was definitely in the top 3, something like that. But it's possible that I confused the position with one that was similar, but not quite the same. You know, so I'm not going to go on the record officially with this just yet. So how many pawns am I down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm down 2 so far. So if queen takes d5, we have different options Queen a5 check is possible. Bishop d2, queen takes c5, for example, with compensation. Bob, who's your chess teacher? Touche. How do you... Touche. Bad joke. Alright. So knight takes d5, queen a5 check. Let's say queen takes d5, queen a5 check, bishop d2, queen takes c5 with compensation. That's my first line. My first line of defense. There are other interesting possibilities. Knight b4, queen takes queen, rook takes queen with like a raging initiative. But I'm down 2 pawns, he can castle. Some funny lines. Knight b4, trade. Castles, and then like bishop f5. So black's the one that's going to have some fun here. But I think the real question becomes, you know, do we trade queens or not? You know, that's the question at the end of the day. There's also bishop e6. He takes this pawn. I mean, that seems like he's really going out on a limb. Queen takes b7, knight takes c5, queen b5. Probably best to be practical here. This is not a situation where maybe I should waste a lot of time. Let's go for it. Possible I missed a move here. Though, I don't know. Queen d2 doesn't look right. I guess he could play queen d1, but again, it looks slow. Isn't it too difficult to learn the Najdorf is black to get to GM? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, again, I think I would make the point that getting to GM doesn't depend on what openings you play so much as your other skills. You know, my problem was really my discipline and other factors. Not focusing enough on what I needed to do. Not because of what openings I played. I'm not a GM because, does that make sense? I'm not a GM because of the opening choices I made. You know, I think there are other things. Queen a5. Yeah, I dismissed his variation out of hand, probably for good reason. I don't think that Juicebox really calculated far enough. Although he may have a saving move in knight d4. He can actually get away here. I am 2 pawns down. So he has e5, knight d4, e5, king c3, and he's still alive. Okay, it's kind of crazy. I have knight takes a2 check, rook takes a2, pawn takes d4 check. Feels like we should get back our pawn, probably. Pawn our pawns. Why are you not a GM? Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to somebody else? I'm not a GM because of my personal weaknesses. The difficulties that life put in my way. I just wasn't committed enough. I mean, probably if I had chosen not to play poker starting around 2007 really frequently and focused on just chess instead, I probably could have made it. But this could have, would have, maybe should have, you know, it's all kind of arbitrary, isn't it, at the end of the day? I mean, we can just speculate on whether I would have made it or not. You know, it's whatever. Alright, we're getting our piece back. But I think for me, you know, that was a moment where I made this decision to take time off from chess when, you know, if becoming a grandmaster was my goal, I should have stayed focused on the one thing, you know. I ended up spreading my attention between two things, and destiny. It was not meant to be. Arsenal should have learned chess as a child. Imagine all the fun stuff he would have missed out on, though. Alright, so what's the deal here? We are up a piece. That's generally a good thing. I don't think I fully appreciated that I was up a piece. We didn't fully appreciate the things we have in life. Is this the best move? We'll keep that queenside under surveillance. Those 4 pawns could still do some damage if they were to get rolling. Getting your head kicked in a cricket match, that was good for your, you know, it's sort of good for your chess career. Cricket looks so civilized. I mean, I can see rugby, you know. All right. So, Arsenal fans up next. Nefedov. I'm just going to play the subscribers first. Bayaz doesn't understand that we're not taking rated challenges. That's the reason. The other reason his challenge was rejected. Okay, if anyone's a subscriber that I'm not crediting, you know, let me know. Because the subscribers should get to play first. So Future Chess GM is like, I feel it's easier to get the GM with E5 than C5. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Future Chess GM. You gotta win games, you know, but winning them with black is really hard against strong opposition. It really depends on your style. You might be able to play, you know, this kind of bullfighter style where you actually induce people to overpress against you. The question is, how do you win with black? Do you just, like, brute force? Or do you trick them into, like, overextending themselves? The Sicilian would be, like, kind of sharp brute force. Although it's hyper modern, you could talk of it like, you know, getting white to overextend themselves there. It's just, it's more dynamic than E5. The problem is, I think the problem is you're gonna have a lot more draws if you play E4 E5 versus the Sicilian. You're gonna have a lot more draws and less wins and losses if you play E4 E5. One of my biggest struggles, and other people who have made or may have not made it to GM are, you know, the problem is, like, maybe you're a good player, like Erdos Victor was a very strong player. It took him a long time to get the title because he had too many draws. He was like a very, very stable player, kind of like me in that sense. Many draws. It was hard for him to make the GM norms because he needed to make like +5. He would have like +3 or +4, but he would like never get to +5 because his style was too stable. He was playing like the French defense and stuff. So that's an issue sometimes. You're too solid, it's hard to get the GM type of performance. And I think E5 could be a happy medium, you know, but through in the stream title is misspelled. Thank you, Nefedov. This is an American, it's not an American abbreviation. Throughway. Through street. You don't have this? Throughway. The Massachusetts Throughway. New Jersey. The New York Throughway. Is that how it's spelled? I don't know. I'm just joking around. Alright, knight f6. It's an occasionally used non-standard American English spelling of the word, though. Did you Wikipedia that, Bob? Or you're just, like, winging it? I guess they don't do that in the UK, Pavel. I never really thought about it, you know, to be honest with you. So here we are. Here we are in the wonderful world of the Marazzi bind. Speaking of where it's difficult to like play for a win with black. Very hard to imagine. I almost won a game in Marazzi last year. That's kind of like what it's like playing the black side of the Marazzi, you know, typical international master. You're like telling your friends stories by the fireside. Hey, you remember that? You remember that Australian guy that I almost beat in the Marazzi with black? You know, your opening is like, your winning chances aren't high enough if you're telling stories about like, I almost won a game in this opening once last year. I mean, there was this guy from Australia, now I can't remember his name, that made a GM norm in a tournament I played. It was like impossible. Mark Esserman dropped out of the tournament last summer, and the category was really, really low. And this guy, Junta Ikeda was his name. Somehow, I don't know how, he made a GM norm with like 7 out of 9. And I almost beat him with black in this line, where he did something kind of lame. But honestly, it's practically impossible to win with the black pieces in the Marazzi. If your opponent is any kind of decent player, you got like 80% of draw and like 20% of losing. It's like 80% draw, 19% losing, 1% win. You know, this is our statistical breakdown of what happens when you play the black side of the Marazzi. I mean, maybe like once in a while someone drops a piece or something, okay? So Arsenal fan went with the kind of classical like rook c1. I more prefer the rook b1, rook fc1, the modern approach. Yeah, the Nefedov is like center. Okay, these are all older English spellings. I mean, through is the normal spelling, you know. Future Chess GM, when I played c5, I had a hard time with the Grand Prix kind of games. But that's really dynamic. I think you just need more practice. Where's move 11? He likes the Marazzi. Maybe he doesn't like it. So not that different from my game with Junta Ikeda here. We traded queens. It was like an ending. And then he kind of started pushing. But almost like in the wrong moment, you know? This might even be theory for all I know. John Donaldson offered a draw here in a game in like 1998. It was accepted by his grandmaster opponent. This is I mean, if somebody wants to give up their spot to Yellow Dragoon, that's awesome, Nefedov. Really, really generous. So Arsenal fan basically playing the classical computer likes this kind of ending. Bishop e5's a good move. Force field. It's time to create a force field. We make draw. Well, I'm not sure it's that easy. I have to be a little bit careful here. Well played by our hero. I guess g5 is a good move. I hope I can't mess this up somehow. approaching the center. Really well played by Arsenal, though. Wonder if I'm possibly losing here. I kind of feel like he should play King D4 first. I hope I'm not losing this. It's kind of tricky. He blundered there. I mean, it looks like after takes en passant, takes King D4, white is still better. I mean, I know it's kind of harsh to call it a blunder, but objectively, I think it is. Now it feels like a force field. I don't think that black can even think about playing for a win unless white does something really off the chart here. I've had games with computers like this a lot over the years. Thinking like I could beat a human with the good knight against bad bishop, but the engine would never ever lose in a sort of ending. It wouldn't even dream of it. You know, there is a way though. If I can get in well, he's actually trying to get frisky here with King G4. Trying to get frisky. All right. I got to do something. I mean, this is no longer an issue coming in here. But I'm not sure about knight e7 objectively. We're going to go e7 and then take on f4 and play like knight g6. If he goes f5, that's pretty disturbing. So if I take and then play knight e7, now I'm screwed again. Well, if he plays h5, he fixes his own pawn there, so it's kind of messed up. Now we go back. Interesting endgame. Guys, how much time we have left? Okay, the stream started at 4:30. We're ending at 7, so we've got 40 minutes left. Arsenal putting all his pawns on white squares, but it probably doesn't matter at this point. I mean, now my knight is so messed up that I'm just groveling for a draw. Knight a7 pretty much looks a little risky. Knight a7. Where am I going anyway? I mean, objectively. Knight b6. Actually, I don't know. I'm not playing for a win here. I have to be careful not to lose. I'm not sure that this was even the right square, but actually he can't really do anything. Because if he moves his king, I go king e5 now. Now there's some questions. Now he's actually allowed me to play knight d7, knight c5. Probably I'm not winning, but he has to be a little bit careful. I guess it's still a draw. He shouldn't really let me out, though. I guess he didn't have a choice. Alright. I can play b6 on the queen side now. I don't think I can lose with my knight on e5. If I play b6, it's like a force field. Let's think of Star Wars when we start talking force fields. There's no way in. You could lose on time. But other than that, it does look kind of difficult to lose. Okay, there's even, yeah, bishop e2. We go here. Actually, there's no reason to do that. Is there another move, actually? Yeah, there is a reason to do that. There may not be another move, actually. What am I talking about? Okay, there's this. Funny position. Obviously, this is a very poorly played game. Should the pawns be on black squares since white having the white bishop? Yeah. Arsenal's fans would rather be on dark squares. But they're not. Now, I do have knight d7 again. I just don't ever think I can win this. Like, how could I possibly win unless white did something ridiculous? Ridiculous. Yeah. I just don't see it happening. There's no... Dude, that's like 4 games in a row he hasn't lost. Did I offer a draw? I don't think I actually offered a draw. His only move is king f5. Then the point is I could go to other squares. I'm implying the draw offer here. Too proud to offer a draw. Oh, you want more? Can I play f6? I'll never move my knight, just move back and forth. Can he ever stop me from going? He could get his bishop to like c8, make me run out of moves. Theoretically, if I play f6, he gets his bishop to c8, and I could lose. So it's probably not a great idea to do that. Let's move our knight instead. I don't think I ever wiped the floor with Dragoon. Not so long ago, yeah, like before I started streaming on here. He was tough from the beginning. Alright, Arsenal can lose this position. I'm sure that he's capable of it. Come on, just a little cooperation. It's going to take actually a lot of cooperation for white to lose this. We're both too proud to offer draw. I could have played knight f6 last move. Wait, what was my idea here? Are you Zugzwang? Are you Zugzwang? Is there maybe something for black here now? Knight f3. Knight here. Knight here. Knight d2 could be kind of awkward for white. Have to go into king and pawn endgame. Even that would be okay though. White's probably better there. That king position? I don't want to go into that. He avoided the worst of it. So knight d2 doesn't do anything. After knight d2, he has to make a move like e5 though. Knight takes c4, b takes c4. I'm like frozen. Takes, king takes f6 check. King f5, I lose. So all I can do is just draw. I can't even think about winning. I think he's having fantasies that he's better or something. No draw. Now you offer to draw. No, I offer to draw. No, I offer a draw. I won't accept a draw, but I'll offer one. Alright. Then you have the psychological advantage. Like, I refuse to accept your draw, but I will offer you one. Alright. Who's up next? So Nefidov's giving up his spot to Yellow Dragoon. Alright, I better get ready. He's tough. Alright, we gotta get up. Get awake. He plays the King's Indian. I wouldn't allow you to push e4, e5. Yeah, e4, d5, I'm definitely not going to allow you to play e4, d5. King's Indian. King's Indian. What are we going to do? Alright, let's just play something wimpy like this. g3. You can play a knight f3, g3, King's Indian, whatever. Try to trick him somehow. Yeah. No, I don't want to let you play that, that's for sure. What is this? Palbenko. Might have played this against Fischer, actually. I said the word Fischer, my throat started to like clam up. I'm sure that wasn't the best one for the spectators. Well, I mean, some of them might have enjoyed it. Arsenal fan. It's actually a Pearts, not a King's Indian now. The well-prepared black player here, I guess, is, you know, he's down with that. But the unexperienced player probably doesn't want to allow this move order for black because you're now playing an opening that maybe, you know, isn't really part of your repertoire in a lot of cases. I guess knight on g to e2. So, I don't know. Yellow Dragoon, do you play the Sicilian? Is that what you guys were talking about, actually? Kind of interesting question. Dracofire says f4 for the win. Yeah, f4 would be good. Against the King's Indian player, probably. So he's thinking about learning the Sicilian instead of e5. Now he can play the Sicilian. I'm thinking I had this position at the Budapest Spring Open. And the only game I won was actually this. This is really funny. Just some random Hungarian kid that I'd never seen before. He was fairly high rated though, 22 something. My last tournament victory was, I think, this exact position. The opening though, I wasn't really happy with. I think that it's not necessarily best, future GM, but as I was saying, I think the thing is that the Sicilian is double-edged, you know. So it depends on what your goals are, you know what I mean? We could play pawn takes pawn and trade queens and like bishop g5, but that's pretty lame. Isn't it? No, wait. I'm just going back in my mind here, hundreds of years ago, back to my early career. Did I ever have this position? Take, queen takes, bishop g5? I'm seeing something here. I think it's actually a line. I'm just trying to make him uncomfortable. Maybe this endgame will make the aggressive King's Indian player uncomfortable. But truthfully, it's probably nothing for white. Yeah. This is nothing. It's not the same position I was thinking of. No. It seems to be this is a fail. Hallucination. This doesn't work. Properly, anyway. Probably white is still equal. But I lost my advantage, I think. So instead of trading queens, I should play normal moves here. H3, and it's like main line. The last time I played this position, I was black against Quang Liem. That was a very long time ago. So we played c6, actually. That's not a bad move. Now I guess I like black better. Yeah, this was really dumb. We like black better now. H3. Keeping things off of g4. This is poorly played by me. I somehow confuse this with a different line where it's actually good to do trade queens and bishop g5. I can't imagine what it was. Maybe there was a knight on c6 already or something. In one position where it's actually good. Here, I don't know if you should do this or not, but it's reasonable to play h6. I have no intention of taking this now. Alright guys, there's this game, and then we have time for two more, I would say. Hopefully, I think you had this position in one of your first Saturday tournaments last year. It wasn't first Saturday, it was, you know, well, this year. Talking about me? It was a Spring Festival. So we're done with the subscribers. Budapest Spring Open. So that's a good move. Bishop e6. I guess like f4. What am I supposed to do? Castles is pretty lame. On the other hand, maybe can't castles rather than letting his stuff get opened up. This feels pretty lame. But I have nothing here. The question is f4 better than castles, you know, because my king could hang out on f2 and maybe be closer to the center for the endgame. But I'm very angry with myself for playing bishop g5. This is super lame. But the bishop g5 isn't the problem. The problem is d takes e, you know, actually. So this is the start of the main line. Fianchetto Pier. It's castles. Then black has lots of different setups he can try. I don't know what possessed me. I mean, Quan Liam was not a 2700. You know, he was just another guy who was like 2475 or something at that time. But he was extremely strong already. Just no one really realized how strong, you know, till it was too late. Rook fd1. I guess. Again, f4 is possible. Crow Chess Fan, take care. Thanks everybody for your donations. JCS, Merle Dixon, Soltigo. But, you know, the interesting move, though, in the opening, which the guy played against me, Marcel, don't remember his name, is actually, what, c5? I think he played c5. You know, and I think that's transposing to the Dragon Fianchetto variation. That's why I was joking about playing the Sicilian. This is more dynamic, Yellow Dragoon. I think I would prefer to play that for black than to play e5. But e5 is fine. E5 is the main line. Till it was too late. Yeah. We knew how strong he was by then. Well, I just tried to make two moves in a row. Hastings style. Man, that's scary. Alright, yes, I was expecting this move at some point. That's why I played Rook fd1. So I'm lucky I'm still okay here. Now we can try to play very, very simple chess. Capablanca-esque. Boring. We've had a lot of boring games today. Sorry about that. Here we go. The board is on fire. This is not fire on board. This is board on fire. Board with fire. Stress being on the word board. But I'm the one to blame, not him. I played d takes e. So, that's pretty... There's no excuse. I mean, the f4 remains a possibility. Maybe I should actually think about it. We got to do something. I just hope this doesn't backfire somehow. Some crazy possibility. Let's do it. We got to do something. And it brings my king to the center with like king f2. Anytime you make a pawn move, you're weakening your position. This position, like all positions, is not an exception. The battle erupts. And William plays f4. It's absolutely gone crazy. What an insane move. I was actually thinking about knight h5, but I figured... I don't know what I figured. I figured I could play f5 or something crazy. Actually, f5 looks okay. Knight h5, f5. If knight d4, I chop everything. And I win a pawn. So the Yellow Dragoon is hopefully, you know, feeling a little slow today. Dual panda. Dual pandas? f4. The most aggressive move I played the entire game. Really taking a huge risk with this. I don't like losing, you know. And Yellow Dragoon is young and dangerous. So Let's see what we can do. Hopefully he's tired. It's like midnight there, right? After 12 o'clock. Okay, he takes. Strategic victory, but I do have the weaker pawn structure in a sense. We got him to cede his strong point. It's a very deep plan. He ceded his strong point on e5. A cede with a c. But now we've got e5. I think he's melting down. Is this too optimistic? I'm getting too optimistic again. May have made a tactical mistake because he's tired. So he actually drops a pawn here. Feels too good to be true. Okay, the game is not over because I won a pawn. Interesting. Rook c8, pretty good move. But I can play b3. Yeah, that's a good idea. b3. That's really brilliant, man. How do you come up with that kind of move, b3? Idiotic. An idiotic suggestion by myself. But now he's kind of down a pawn. You might argue he has a little bit of compensation, putting his pawn on h5. I was actually looking at g5. But he's playing it more strategically. He's thinking about, oh, maybe I could put a knight in f5, put my pawns in the right color, all that stuff. His knight is strong. I got a good king here. So white has winning chances because of the extra pawn and better king. Mamajara versus Navarra. Pawn up, better king. Great game, guys, from Beal, which I did a video on for chesslecture.com. Mamajara is just really awe-inspiring, unlike myself. Though it was a very, very solid performance, not like a crazy attacking game or something. So what do? We take, we go to the 7th. He's in trouble. Oh, I guess he should have taken with a pawn there, probably. Now I have a double attack. How strong is e6? Well, it doesn't really have a threat, does it? I mean, e6. No threat involved with that move. And I just play e7. We make a queen. Yellow Dragoon is sleepy. He's not himself here. It's a little too late, I think. Alright, thank you for the game. Hopefully next time you will put up a better fight. I think you're not yourself here. Actually, I had nothing after the opening. I think Yellow Dragoon is actually better. Once I play this stupid exchange on d8, we'll probably see black is better. So bishop g5 is it is actually some variation, but who's played it like nobody? I mean, Cuenca played a game with it. It just doesn't seem like anything for white. I guess I played the best possible continuation, but I didn't think you had to play h6. While it's not a bad move, I mean bishop e3. This is actually Cuenca against Kevin Spraggett. Bishop e3. Let's see where we left the theory here. Yeah, I think this was an interesting move. The bishop f8 you might want to play at some point, Yellow Dragoon. That's kind of typical, right? Alright guys, time for one or two more games here. The Fangster. Fangster is a subscriber. Alright. Fangster. Probably the last game for the stream today. e4. Playing exclusively the Sicilian. Tricky opening. But you learned something important. Actually, Benko did that first, as far as I know. Like the first famous game. I don't want to... I never want to face any main lines, especially when I'm tired. Oh no, not another Marazzi. Yeah. Well, I mean, against particularly theoretical players, I try to avoid theory. And then I do the opposite against the untheoretical players. Here we have the same exact game as I played earlier today. Now, Fangster, he's around 2,000. Okay. We did manage to take him out once. This is the exact same position I had earlier. Like a slightly different move order. We're actually Arsenal fan. But a sort of old move, Rook C1. Now, Yellow Dragoon, I really like C5, dude. I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. The E5 seems like White has a kind of pleasant chance to get an edge in those E5 Pierce lines. But if you play C5, either I have to transpose to a dragon, a Fianchetto dragon, or it's like a weird Benoni Pierce modern thing where it's D5 shouldn't really give White an advantage. I've had a couple games like that. They were both very bizarre. One win and one draw. But I never felt comfortable with my positions. 2,200 players I played with D5. This is the same game. Now, he transposed to not Nefedov. I know you're not the same person. He transposed to our earlier game. Rook C1. I just don't think it's doing anything there. It's doing anything there on Rook C1. You play the open Sicilian as White. Yeah, he knows the open Sicilian as White really well. So, play it for both sides. But I mean, E4, E5 is good. I think you see a lot of the top players moving to E4, E5 rather than Sicilian. So, maybe like Yellow Dragoon is ahead of the learning curve here. This is pretty much the same as my game with Yunta Akeda. Are you gonna play like 95, like the same game as the other guy? 95 bishop takes d5. Here we go again. You know, there was a move I didn't play. I could try here against Fangster, which would be to not trade queens or play knight c5 at some point. So 95 against... It looks like against Rich, I just played 95 bishop takes d5, cd5, rook c8 right away. Then he exchanged queens, and I played knight takes, and he played bishop b5. But what if I try not to trade... Or what if I trade queens and just stick my knight on c5, in other words? I think that's slightly better for White as well. I think either way, I'm slightly worse. You have only one way to play this line. It's for a draw for Black. So he plays b3. Okay, this move isn't bad, but I don't think that it's really doing anything for White. Let's see. I really want to trade queens, and then my knight doesn't have to go to b6, which is actually a kind of crappy square for it in reality. So instead of going there, I can put my knight on a better square on c5. And I have the f5 break, which we might think about. There's a secondary plan with e5, rook d8, e5, but he can just pile up on this pawn, so it's really hard to do that. An uncompromising repertoire for Black. Yeah, the problem with the Najdorf, I told you guys even in the late 80s, was that there's just daunting amounts of theory, right? I mean, but if you learn it, you know, you'll be well rewarded, I guess. There's two solutions. You can avoid theory, or you can just embrace it, you know, and I think you have to kind of go one way or the other. King g1. What is my plan here, actually, now? Rook a6, knight d5, take, and then rook b6. Let's try to be proactive here. Fangster. Fangster made a good endgame move. So we're going to go rook b6, bring the other rook over to a8, and hopefully we get to have some fun on the queen side. Do you think the Sicilian is better than e5? No. No, I think, you know, you seem to be, especially if you're happy with d4. I think you're fine there with e5. The dragon is, yeah. The dragon seems like almost mistake to play that. Just too hard for black. Every little kid who's like 9 years old, you know, can get an advantage against the dragon and knows like 35 moves of theory. I mean, I like Arsenal is like 45% of all opening theory. Sicilian theory makes up something like 45% of all opening theory. Are you serious? Yeah, the dragon's as bad as the Nightorf. Those are the two where you know that every little kid knows more than you. Doesn't matter if you're a grandmaster or a 1900. They know more than you, so just don't go there. If you want to be practical, Gawain Jones. Gawain plays the dragon. He played it against Carlsen, right? Alright. Fangster's taking his time here, guys. This is our last game for today. I'm sorry I can't take the other challenges. I'm going to close these out. One speed and I am. Alright, so knight b5 now. Getting funky. It's kind of hope chess. Like hoping that I take right away. On the other hand, it may just be a good move. What is my plan now? I was going to play rook b6, but I'm having second thoughts. Obviously. Why do I feel like my rook belongs here? This is just totally based on feel. Rooks belong on dark squares when opponent have white squared bishop on board. Caveman thinking here. Wasn't a dragon when Jones lost against Magnus in the pieced up position? Yeah, that was a dragon. Magnus, quote unquote, sacrificed a piece, right? He unintentionally sacrificed a piece. Yeah, exactly. So if Jones can play that at the 2700 level, I guess that tells you what you need to know. I mean, the opening is still... I guess Hikaru has tried to play the dragon. I mean, the opening is still good enough, you know, at the 2700 level. Can you play it at the 2800 level? Probably not, you know. It reaches its limitations, you know, limitation. Look at players like who played the Benoni, another opening similar to the dragon. Like Gashimov, while he was still alive, could bring the Benoni up to the 2700 level, but he could probably not, you know, push it to the 2800 level. You can't see a lot of grandmasters running around like playing the Benoni against Magnus or whatever. The Fangster here playing this really well, by the way. I'm gonna need to get a little creative, I think. I could have played f5 before, but I feel like I'm mixing plans with this move. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I'm not sure it makes sense with like rook a6, rook b6. I feel like I'm mixing two totally different vegetables, you know, apples and oranges here. Like, I'm doing this, now I'm doing this. I don't know that these moves are interrelated. Putting my rook on b6 and playing f5, it feels spastic, and I'm like just grasping at straws. Now, do we take with the pawn or do we take with the rook? As I said many times, the pawn move is always like more weakening. They play a6, 1a6. I love 1a6. But I don't recommend it above 2300. Let's say 2350. I'm 2345, so you can play it against me. But no, I mean, I think the a6 on the first move is good until 2350. And you can't play it above that. The dragon, you can go to 2700. The Nightorf, you can go to 2800. Maybe 2780. 2790. Still, it's risky. That's why everyone's switching, though, to e4, e5. e4, e5, if you take all the Grandmaster games in the world, it's just so much more prevalent now than it was 20 years ago. I mean, everyone played e4, e5, you know, since the last century. But I mean, it seems like in the 80s and 90s, like c5 was more popular than e5 at the top level, and that is not really necessarily the case anymore. It's like e5 might even be just as popular. Favorable version of Skaveningen. What are you talking about? So we got a check. Bishop takes to b5. That's really good for my rook. You know, this is such a brilliant plan, putting my rook on b6. The whole idea was to play for a4, but he shut it down. I mean, the Fangster's play is pretty sophisticated, actually. Maybe not like perfectly precise, but it's like playing Gennady Zaitchik or something. Right, now my rook is a little misplaced here. Check does nothing. I mean, there's many moves I can play, I guess. Arbitrary, but the problem is the file now. I could be worse structurally. It's the last game for today, guys. Yeah, d5 was playable, Arsenal fan, but that proverbial question doesn't do anything, you know, kind of killed it for me. I feel like Fangster's having trouble, like me, kind of deciding what to do. He's basically been on the right path for most of the game. If I play a4, is that a good move or a bad move? Okay, so we got him. We got him where we want him now. Broke him up. We got a strong knight on c5. And we can win a pawn. No, he's got a tactic to save himself there. So it's going to take some work yet. You could also consider letting him take on a4, actually. Risky, though. Bring the pressure down on b3 as fast as possible here. Fangster's pace is really intense, dude. Who is the Fangster? He's too tough. I think I might have made a mistake with this move. Got a defense for everything. Okay, we got to make a transformation in the position here. Transformation. Nice job. Now I got to be careful. Almost has tactics. H4, absolutely correct. Fixing my pawns on the wrong color. Now he's like c5 almost. Oh my goodness. Could just play with the increment. Make sure all my stuff is protected. Probably a good idea. Alright, now we're on that. He's holding on. The position transforms. Increment master. Just keep building. He's got f4. Does he have f4? He has it. Do I have a way out? He has an answer for everything. He has an answer for literally everything. I mean, this is crazy, dude. He's defended that too. I managed to beat him the first game, but he's playing like God now. Alright, e4, rook there, king e5. That does look pretty strong. There's rook f2 check. Is this getting too dangerous for me? Yeah, see. Sack the exchange, just too much. Now he's got defense based on rook f4. A multitude of other things. This is really dangerous for me. To be careful. With a 5-second increment. Now I can sack the exchange. I think it's a good deal. We're going to do it. It's kind of ironic. Like, you're sacking for that bad bishop, but you're getting a lot of stuff. Getting the important stuff here. It's a bargain. So now he's got rook d5 check, which is really kind of scary. King f4. Man, there's no end to this. You could just go on forever, I think. Ever and ever. Pawn takes? No. Keep the king a little bit further away. And we got him. Maybe I should have played king f2 there. Too early to celebrate here. But this pawn is really strong. Just get it down there. Alright, man, tough game. A very tough game, but the exchange sack for the bad bishop broke his back. Okay, guys, thank you for me and the Panda. We will be back, the Panda and I. Oh, Panda and I. Try to be grammatically correct, okay? So we will be back, what is tomorrow, Tuesday, with a viewer arena. Basically, rapid chess, 7+2, casual tomorrow night, 4:30 EDT. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, guys. Please support the stream. I appreciate the subscriptions. You can donate via PayPal to support the stream. videochesstrainer@gmail.com. I'll just send a PayPal through the Twitch or over on our YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. If not, just subscribe to the stream or hang out with us. Either way, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. I thought it was Tuesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. We're going to do the viewer stream, viewer arena tomorrow night. Rapid chess, 7+2. Okay, guys? Thanks for watching. Soltigo, thanks for being our moderator. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Bye-bye.